Alright, let's get back to it, shall we? Last time, we were about to do another summation examination, so let's see what comes of that. I am determined that the court must uphold the defense's judicial right to this procedure. So, counsel, you will now proceed with your second summation examination. One sec. I presume the jury is ready, Mr. Foreman. We are, my lord. We are, my lord. Very good. In that case, I must ask each of you now to state clearly and concisely for the court the grounds on which you find the defendant guilty of this crime. Here we go again. Oh shit. Here we go again. Three books. A novel alternative explanation. Yeah. Yes, yes. Considerably more tangible arguments from all members of the jury, except for the dude who said he had a fire in his house. Oh, okay. With one notable exception, of course. My learned student friend was unable to find fault in the previous witness testimony. So the court must accept the fact that it was indeed the accused seen fleeing from the scene. And moreover, no one else was even at the scene to commit the crime. Well, if the eyewitnesses are correct, it would seem as if the conclusion is set in stone. Nothing's set in stone here. I fail to see how it can be argued any other way. That means I'm afraid that during the summation examination, it's essential that you establish some other tangible explanation for the facts. But how? What would even constitute a tangible explanation? Isn't it obvious? Who stabbed the woman and how? Those two details are all you need to provide. Simply give us a name and method by which the attack was conducted. And here I was thinking this might be hard. But Mr. Naruhodo, you have to do it, otherwise this will really be where the trial ends. No pressure then. That's quite enough preamble. Proceed with the summation examination, please. I presume you are prepared, counsel. Oh yes, my lord. Alright, focus your mind. Clearly, the key to this summation examination is going to be juror number 4, the maid, or should I say Mrs. Garadeb. I cannot believe. We have a book that disappeared from the Garadeb's house on the evening of the incident, and the 4th book found on the victim's hand. There must be a way to link the two. Yes, that's all we have to find. Using every technique I've learned in my short career so far. Yep. Oh, that's gonna be key. Hughes left evidence behind evidence of the scene, didn't he? There's 3 books.
Hold it!
Okay, Mr. Fairplay. Now I know there were 4 books, not 3. Well, difference does it make? There's every possibility the 4th book belongs to the defendant's landlord. Yes, that's the part I have a problem with. That's the part I have a problem with. Sorry? Well, the point was the woman was stabbed. This landlord fellow was... At the point this woman was stabbed, the landlord fellow was at home, wasn't he? Enjoying a fiery scrap with his wife or something, you said. It's not exactly how I put it, no. Well, anyway, the point is, the fellow and his wife was somewhere else when it happened. I think what you call a strong alibi. So it couldn't have been the landlord who did, which only leaves the Nipponese fellow. Honestly, I can't see what all this palaver's about. It's a done deal, isn't it? I suppose it is, since I have nothing witty left to say. So you might be willing to change your decision, you mean? Oh my, such delight on your face, but I'm afraid I shan't be swayed with emotion. Despite what you may think of me, I'm a very modern, metropolitan, and rational woman. That's great. If one reads the morning papers, it's all forgotten by tea time, isn't it? So why read them in the first place? You see? Modern, metropolitan, and rational thinking, wouldn't you say? Not at all extreme. As I see it, an overwhelmingly suspicious Japanese man has been implicated by overwhelmingly strong testimony. So despite 1 or 2 minor puzzlements, I do declare that the man is overwhelmingly guilty. Modern, metropolitan, and rational logic, wouldn't you say? Overwhelmingly. But us modern gals are always delighted to embrace new fads, you know. I'd be only too happy to consider an exciting new theory if you could come up with one. I have to do that too, if only I could. Let's do our very best not to disappoint the modern and metropolitan young lady. Right. Glad you admitted rational there.
Hold it!
But what about the possibility that the window was open? What about it? I mean, there's no way it could have been. How can you be so sure? The prosecutor fella said over there said it earlier, didn't he? Winters in London are no joke. You don't want to invite that sort of cold indoors. No, the window wasn't open. Us Londoners like sitting by the fire and staying warm, see? But you couldn't categorically state that the window was open, could you? It just wasn't. They wouldn't have opened it. Then what's the point of even having windows, huh? Consul, you will kindly refrain from childish bickering. Oh, sorry. Somehow I need to show there's an undeniable possibility that the window was open. Because this young man isn't going to pledge otherwise.
Hold it!
Well, this little book was on fire at the time, was it not? With flames of love, I'll have you know. There's really no such thing as a loving incendiary bomb. Well, he brought it upon himself. It's playing with fire to betray a fiery love, isn't it? Well, don't you agree? Oh, well, any kind of betrayal is certainly a bad thing, yes. But I think the argument might have arisen out of your misunderstanding, Mrs. Garadub. Never you mind that. The point is, we were just having a jovial little dispute, nothing more. I won't have any more of these suggestions that it was anything whatsoever to do with this crime. Oops. Didn't mean to do that. Alright, well, we'll see about that. Someone says I was used to it. What a gentle soul he is. Oh. I have a feeling it's either going to be... I think it's going to be 6 who gives me what I need.
Hold it!
You just want to get this over with? How can you sit there and say something like that? A man's future is at stake here. Well, him and me both then, like I said before. What? I told you already, I'm a day laborer, aren't I? I'm gonna bring home some Reddies with me tonight. You'll find me floating face down in the Thames tomorrow morning. Yeah, I'd me. My missus is one to mess about, you know. She can be fierce, believe you me. Another shining example of marital bliss, then. Situation like this cropped up the other day. Was, well... This is a great song. You know, it's funny, but I can't quite remember. Sorry. It's too frightening, that's the thing. I must have blacked it out. Helpful. I wonder if Mr. Beat will ever be dragged into the Thames by his scarf. Don't even go there, Mr. Zato. There's some way to jog your memory about this. Alright, home a while ago. It gave me the sneezes.
Hold it!
Does that have anything to do with your decision about the defendant's culpability in this case? Sorry, what's that? Speak up, lad. Could you tell us more about that fire? It was last winter. My grandchildren baked me a lovely cake on my birthday. Had 75 candles on top it did. What a sight to behold it was. We put candles on a cake? Was it some kind of devil worship? Of course not, it was an angel cake. Celebrate my birthday, obviously. Seems that's the common custom here in Great Britain, Mr. Naruhodo. Anyway, I mustered all my pop to blow them out. Only I must have blown wrong somehow. The flames didn't go out, but the candles went fly. How? The furniture caught and everything went up. The whole place filled with smoke. Definitely sounds like devil worship to me. And by the sneezes, I presume you mean it cold. But how do you catch cold from a fire? What a fiasco it was. The grandchildren, bless them, threw water over me as I tried to put out flames. And then, as the whole room would fill up with smoke, of course, we had to open up all the windows to clear it. Windows? The biting winter air rushed over me like the devil dancing on my grave, it did. Put terrible cold from it, put me in the hospital for a while. Won't forget that birthday in a hurry. I knew it was devil worship all along. Can I pit Germa against Grandpa over here? Germa 2?
Objection!
Oh lord. Oh, okay, this is right. It seems despite being a Londoner, he once opened his windows in the middle of winter. Well, yes, of course, because it was emergency. I mean, obviously, if the room was filled with smoke from a fire, then you'd be mad to not open them. Oh! On the day in question, at the time of the incident, there was a fire in the Garadev household, and Mr. Garadev had the following to say about it. The whole place filled with smoke.
Oh my! Excuse me!
Juror number 4, do you have something to say about that? Mrs. Garadev. Dearie me. What's the meaning of this? How dare you imply I'm hiding who I really am? Imperative that you confirm something for the court. So please, time to drop the pretense now. What is it? When the fire started in your house that day, did you or your husband open the window? Well, I beg your pardon. What do you insinuate? The room would have been thick with smoke after the carpet and bookcase caught fire as they did. In a situation like that, it's inconceivable that you wouldn't have opened the window. And what if we did? I hate this bitch so much. Oh, alright then. Yes, you're right. My husband was frantically trying to open the window. It can't have been easy since I continued to give my justly deserved book battering. Even though your house was on fire? Oh, you never stop throwing until the anger subsides. It would be terribly bad for the nerves to do otherwise. I hate this bitch. Of course, I should have realized. That's a significant step forward, Mr. Naruhodo. You managed to establish that the window was open. We simply must have that added to Mrs. Garadev's formal statement.
Objection! Hold it!
Alright.
Hold it!
Let's press the new statement. Fourth book found that the scene of the crime shows very obvious signs of fire damage. And the title of the book is The Lion's Pride. The same title, in fact, that is the book that Mr. Garadev told us he had been reading. Well, I really couldn't say. On the day in question, did you or did you not throw at your husband the copy of the Lion's Pride that he'd been reading? Well, I really couldn't say. I did. Oh, good. It was the first thing I could lay my hands on, so I hurled it straight at him. Now you come to mention it, yes. He was rather enjoying reading it, you're right. Why did you not reveal this information to the court from the outset? Because I couldn't, you insolent little man. I didn't remember. At times like that, you pick up and throw whatever you can lay your hands on, as well you know. I really don't.
Oh boy. Excuse me.
Okay, I guess you have an issue with this? What is it, juror number 5? You know something? I remembered what it was. That memory blocked out. I was listening to what this granny was saying, brought a little flooding back. Who are you calling a granny, you cheeky devil? I'm Mrs. Garrett, or the maid, I'll have you know. Man doesn't even flinch. Please tell me that's not because he's so used to being hit all the time. Oh lord, it was about 2 weeks ago now. I just got home after work, like, put my hand in my pocket for the wages I just earned that day, and I nearly died. It was a hole. Every last penny had dropped out. Oh dear, what a disaster. Haven't heard the half of it, boy. Oh, the wife was cutting up some chicken at the time. I hardly get the words out, but I told her straight. I've lost a day's wages lump. She threw the knife. Oh my god. Next thing I knew, the blade whistling past my hand, stuck into the wall next to me. It did, about an inch deep. But I don't think you could throw a knife for that long with the air resistance and hit somebody through their overcoat and stab them. Of course, it wasn't fatal, so it probably wasn't... Oh my god. No words, just terror. Smell it then, you know. That god-awful stench of the Thames. I was sure it was going to end up face down in muddy banks that night, I can tell you. Ow, that's a real disaster, isn't it? I'll never use the word lightly again. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is this. When women lose their right, they'll throw anything at you. Knives, hatchets, hammers, you name it. Mr. Naruto, you mustn't think that all women are so short-tempered and unrefined. No, I wasn't thinking that. Throwing household objects with people is, well, it's not uncivilized. At least attack with honor, using a bow or the like. What? Attack? Who are you gonna attack? Never mind. Anyway, this man's words could be rather significant, I think.
Objection!
Those two statements, do they... Yep. They don't contradict each other? Explain, counsel, at once. Juror number 2, do you think perhaps that this could be one such novel alternative? Oh my, whatever do you mean? An alternative explanation as to how the victim was stabbed in the back. What are you talking about? We've demonstrated the 4th book, The Lion's Pride, was found at the scene of the crime. Originated in Mr. Garrett Deb's room on the top floor of his house. Therefore, it's equally possible that some other object besides the book could have found its way in from the Garrett household to the street below. Eh? What's that now? After all, Mrs. Garrett could have thrown any number of different objects at her husband. Isn't that right, juror number 4? What are you insinuating now, you little beanpole? Damien thinks that ever since the true origins of this book came to light, perhaps she's had a feeling this might be what happened. Now you listen here, you Eastern Gala. As the foreman of this jury, I demand a straight answer. You give us a yawn about some other object making its way out of the house, but what? What was it? I'm really taking a big gamble here. It's a bold accusation to make, but I haven't any real evidence to back it up. I'm certain at the very least this warrants further investigation. Alright, Mr. Foreman, I'll try to explain the defense's theory. The other object... Can I just, I want to see this knife. Can I open it up? It's missing its tip. Dear, dear. I assume the whole blade. Oops, didn't mean to do that, but... Fine, I'll open it up again. I guess I would have needed to know that at some point, but like... Alright, cool.
Take that!
Juror number 4, Mrs. Garrideb. What now? Apologize in advance for this. But I need you to confirm something else for this court. This knife. Have you ever seen this knife before? Good lord, Counsel. What on earth are you doing? That's the weapon that was lodged into the victim's back fan. My lord, remember when when the victim was attacked, Mr. and Mrs. Garrideb were in the throes of an argument. Mrs. Garrideb was hurling anything she could at her husband, who had been backed up against the window. The window had been opened to clear the smoke, and through which a book was sailed to land at the crime scene. You can't seriously believe that. It was found in the victim's grasp. That book was found in the victim's grasp. Are you saying that it flew out the window and across the street to land neatly in her hand? Ugh, even my missus had gone at aim like that. Yes, I admit there are many details we don't yet understand. That's the point. That's precisely why. You must not allow this trial to end. Not right now. Oh my! Oh my! Mrs. Garrideb, your answer, please. Have you seen this knife before or not? Thud. It's not his knife. My lord. I wish to change my decision. I'm a woman of my word, after all. Thank you, madam. Yes, I agree. I certainly didn't see this coming, but I just don't think it would be right for this trial to come to an end now. So many unanswered questions. Mr. Foreman? I'd have to agree. Not that I think the granny did it, mind. Yes, you know what? I'm not quite happy about this at the moment either. All together now, ladies and gents. We did it. Oh, congratulations, Mr. Naruhodo. So, as a result of the defense's summation examination, a number of the jurors' leanings have changed. 2 jurors called guilty against 4 now calling innocent. Accordingly, the opinion of the court is divided, and this trial will continue. Now then, Lord Van Zieks, how does the prosecution wish to proceed? This trial is rapidly descending into a farce. I actually drank some. Like a corked wine, the first few sips are bitter enough. But what follows is so repugnant, it's good for nothing save the gut. If I may, Lord Van Zieks, the defense has put forward a credible alternative explanation for what happened. Credible? Is that your considered opinion, Mr. Foreman? The defense's argument is a joke to which I barely know how to respond, but let me start by insisting that you must all familiarize yourselves better with the relative positions of those places being discussed. What do you mean by that? What's his angle this time? Oh, the windows were sealed, weren't they? Because the window tags. It should already be more than apparent, but that between the crime scene and the Garrideb household runs a rather wide street, Briar Road. Which means that the distance from the Garrideb house to the scene is 15 yards. Let me see, that 15 yards, that's around 14 meters. 14 meters? Oh, that's a little farther than I thought. And, as you ladies and gentlemen of the jury rightly notice as having portentous significance, the 4th book was found in the victim's clutches. In other words, the smouldering book, wantonly hurled by the lady of the house, travelled some 15 yards to land on the opposite side of the road, neatly between the collapsed victim's fingers and thumb. Is that your final conclusion, my learned and deluded friend? And did the jackknife follow a near identical trajectory to plunge into the middle of the victim's back? This fantasy is somewhat stretching the notion of having a bad day for the victim, I think. Even those pathetic serialized detective stories have more believable plots. Wow. There's nothing I can say that prosecutor loves the sound of his own voice. Susato, serialized detective stories are pathetic, are they? How dare he? Maybe let's pick our battles. My lord, might I be allowed to speak? As judicial assistant, you may speak for the defense, yes? Go ahead. The prosecution may consider the idea a fantasy. But what the defense postulated was believable enough to persuade the jury to change its leaning, and as such, the court has a duty to explore this alternative explanation as thoroughly as possible. To that end, juror number 4, Mrs. Joan Garrett, must be called to testify and submit to cross-examination. Saints alive! Cross-examination of a juror. Well, now she has something to do with the crime. Order. Well, this is highly irregular. It is unprecedented for a member of the jury to be summoned to the witness stand.
Objection!
No apologies this time, and unnecessary. Lord Van Zooks. There are already witnesses in the stand whose testimony the defense may further cross-examine. If my learned friend's farcical theory has any truth in it, then both a burning book and a jackknife must have flown through the sky before this couple's eyes. And we must assume they would be able to testify accordingly. I almost forgot they were here. What say you, witnesses? Yes, sir. Constable Rowley Beat reporting for duty, sir. Well? Good morning, officer. Sorry for dozing until now, sir. I haven't slept for a month on account of a villain who's appeared on my beat, sir. Oh, they are so heroic, these London bobbies. Patricia, my darling, I've been neglecting you, but no more. Oh, Rowley, my hero, you make me swoon. Very well, I hereby reject the defense's request. Oh. Order the witnesses in the stand to testify again. State forthwith before the court any details pertaining to the defense's alternative explanation of events. Yes, sir. Okay. This case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garrett. Believe me, a London bobby is good for his word. You see, sir, the windows on the top floor of the Garrett house are top hinged casements. Obviously, if anything had been thrown out of the window, we would have seen it. I did leave this inn to go and fetch help, but my trusty Rowley was there to make sure nothing was disturbed. I didn't take my eye off the crime scene for one moment, sir. Nothing strange to report on that front, sir. Oh, Lord. I would have tried to catch the line. This was quite startling. Top hinged casement windows. That detail was not present in the police report, Constable. Yes, sorry about that. I must have been a little drowsy. You cannot excuse your sins with drowsiness every time, Constable. No, sir. Sorry, but... what exactly is a top-hinged casement window? And you cannot excuse your ignorance with such trite remarks, my learned friend. Of course, sorry. I found it, Mr. Knott. What is in that book? What is that book about? Wait, you can't keep doing this, okay? Like, you can't just be like, I found it in my book. It's like my book has everything in it. It's an encyclopedia, like an Encyclopedia Britannica, all in one little tiny ass book. How thin are the pages, woman? I have so many questions. Is it a different book? They not just... do you just have a bunch of books in there? Did they not render like new book covers? Like, I don't understand. In the same blue book that taught us about Kurari and then had all of the stuff about the summation examination in the last trial, and now she's got like windows in there. Like, what is this kind of book? I'm sorry, I just needed to get that out there because it doesn't make any... like, what the hell? I mean, I get it, it's funny, but like, I'm so confused. There's so many questions about this book. Where do you keep all the books? Where does Lakitu keep all the spiny eggs? Like, what the hell? Anyway, I found it. Cast your mind back to the windows in Mr. and Mrs. Garrett's room. Alright, I'll try. You literally have a memory that is really good. So the window opens to allow air to circulate inside the house. Oh. But as it's a top-hinged casement window, it swings open along the upper edge, you see. I'm glad you've rectified your ignorance. A casement window's most prominent feature is its stay, a metal bar which prevents the window from being opened beyond a certain amount. It prevents it opening? This is all news to me. Absolutely correct, sir. In other words, if a book or knife were to have been thrown through the open window, it would have clattered against the pane and fallen straight down to the pavement below. Oh. Oh, good. I didn't know I was live, so that's awesome. You see the problem then? Good. Your education in Windows is complete. There was never any possibility of either the book or the knife traveling 15 yards over the road. That is, unless the window pane had been shattered, something we've discounted already. That can't be! Did you see that, Roly? The young Japanese man just collapsed in agony. Oh yes, my darling, I saw it. I saw how he crumbled before me. Oh, Roly, you're so strong. How is this happening? I haven't even started the cross-examination yet, and already my argument's been destroyed. Counsel, if you could drag yourself upright again, the court awaits your cross-examination. My lord. Oh, good. Another... what? Whatever. Probably doesn't work. This case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garrett. Oh, wait.
Hold it!
How can you say that for certain? A very good question, sir. And the answer is this. There's the noble founding principles of the force written on it as a reminder to all of us policemen of our sworn duty. Showed us that before, didn't he? Did he? I can't say I remember. Patrol the streets of London town and uphold the peace of the common man in the hall. What the job's all about. And that is why I can't stand here today besides my long-suffering wife and tell you that Bobby's good. Can stand here today beside my long-suffering wife and tell you that Bobby's good for his word, while rubbing my tired eyes admittedly sad. Oh, Roly, you're so manly. Of course I am, my darling Patricia. Oh, Pat. Oh, Roly. No, none of this is what I meant. I meant, how can you say for certain this case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garrett? Ah, I see, sir. You said so earlier, sir. Yes, well, could you answer the question? That was a waste of time, though. Absolutely, sir. I will answer it to the fullest of my abilities, sir. There's a surprising reason why Mr. and Mrs. Garrett's domestic dispute can't be related to this case. But before I get into that, sir, just one thing. Yes? I'd very much like you and all your countrymen to understand the great British institution of Scotland Yard, so I hope you'll be able to take back some tales of us London bobbies and how we uphold our guiding principles. I wasn't planning on going back just yet. I've only just arrived here. So to that end, sir, I'd be happy to lend you my warrant card for your perusal. And I must warn you, you won't be able to get through it without shedding a few tears. Thank you, I'll try. Wow, that was important somehow. Okay.
Hold it!
By which you mean they don't open fully, is that correct? Hold on, while I have the opportunity. There's a lot of those where you get evidence in the middle of the in the middle of a press, and it becomes important. But just there to follow allow a bit of air, though. You see, through the house, you see, so they're restricted as to how much they open. And therefore, anything thrown out of the window from inside the room would simply strike the pane and fall to the street directly below. For clarity, allow me to mark the map. Here is the location where the objects would have fallen. Isn't that in his beat? Directly opposite the scene of the crime, on the other side of the rather wide road. Would it have been so hard for somebody to mention this top hinge casement thing before? Well, I have another question for you, Constable. And what would that be, sir? How do you even know? Why would you have any idea what sort of windows Mr. and Mrs. Garrett's house is furnished with? Ah, well, sir, that's very simple. You see, I helped with the investigation yesterday. Okay. I knew it.
Excuse me.
Then Miss Beat. Just saying to add, Mrs. Beat. Hmm? Sorry? Sorry? You look, well, delighted. Is there some particular reason? I was just remembering, that's all. We really were so lucky. Lucky? What do you mean? Well, of course I feel terrible for the poor woman who was attacked. Don't misunderstand, please. We're just so lucky it didn't happen on Rowley's beat. It was so close, you see. Oh, I hadn't realized. Oh yes, that street. Briar Road. That's the boundary between Rowley's beat and the next one. I had a feeling. Isn't that right, my love? Constable Beat. Hmm? Oh, yes, that's right. That's the reason I was helping out with interviewing the occupants of the Garadeb household yesterday. The house is on my beat, you see, sir. I was really cutting it close then. Constable, I wonder if you could clarify something. If the Garadeb household is on your beat, does that mean the pavement next to it is as well? Outside Mr. Garadeb's house? Yes, ma'am. The pavement on that side of the road is part of my beat. See, I was unaware of that. Just think, if the woman had been attacked on just the other side of Briar Road, we'd have never been able to go for that meal to celebrate our wedding anniversary. But that's the life of a Bobby, after all. Extraordinary people are Bobby is tirelessly working for the benefit of all Londoners. You know what I think? I think it was the good Lord's way of rewarding my Brody for all his hard work. Don't you think so, my darling? That must be it, Pat, my love. That must be it. I think perhaps we should make sure we have the information officially on the record. Give it to me, Mr. Naruhodo. I'll take care of it immediately. The case files information. Constable beat speed. And now it's my turn, I think. Oh, wait, I didn't see that before. I shouldn't have skipped it, but whatever. So, wait a minute. If he was investigating... Let me go through the pressing first before I do this.
Hold it!
Because these first two statements have been very useful, and I need to know if there's more. According to my notes here, the sun had gone down already and it was dark. Oh, but Rowley and I were strolling along, gazing at the night sky and looking for our lucky star. Sorry. The star that will guide us to eternal happiness. Can't it guide you to answer the question? If a flaming book had cut across the sky in front of us, it would have lit up like a shooting star. Can we pretend that airplanes in the night sky are like shooting stars? Well, I could really use a wish right now, wish right now, wish right now. And if I'd seen a shooting star, I would have made a wish upon it. Let Rowley be an inspector, I would have said, 3 times at least. Of course, what with the smog and anything, we couldn't actually see any stars. In short, are you trying to say that neither a book nor a knife crossed the sky before you? Yes, sir, that is correct, sir. As sure as the night sky in London is starless, sir. It seems like they're telling the truth. We saw the poor woman. Then we saw the poor woman fall to the ground, and we ran straight over to help her. I did leave the scene to go and fetch help, but my trusty Rowley was there to make sure nothing was disturbed.
Hold it!
Yes, you said that you went to a nearby police box to fetch another officer, is that right? That's right, yes. If it had been on Rowley's beat, I would have known exactly where I was going, of course. Don't feel bad, my love. You can't be expected to know the location of every police box on every beat. So Rowley told me the way, only I sort of got a little lost on the way. Trisha, my darling, that's why I love you. Your terrible sense of direction is bewitching to me. Oh my god. Oh, Pat. Oh, Rowley. Are the voices that I'm doing for them distinguishable from each other? Oh, please. So, I suppose I was gone for about 15 minutes. Like I said, my Rolly was at the scene of the crime the whole time, so we made making sure nothing was disturbed. I was off duty at the time, of course, but a true Bobby is never really off duty, sir. I didn't take my eye off the crime scene for one moment, sir. Nothing strange to report on that front, sir.
Hold it!
Oh, okay, well, nothing to report. That's correct, sir. I had my eyes wide open the entire time. Never looked away for a second. No one else approached the scene. Nothing was removed from it. I can swear to that, and the odds on a sir. Really, that seems a little strange. Beg your pardon, sir. Strange, sir. Seems altogether regular to me. This burnt copy of the Lion's Pride was originally in the Garrett household. The question remains, how did it find its way into the hand of the victim? Can you shed any light on that, seeing as you were at the scene of the crime the entire time? Aha! Could it be a different copy, sir? Or one that just happened to be burnt as well? Even if that were possible, why would the victim have been gripping a book like that in her hand? As we can see from this photographic print, she had a bag over her shoulder. Well, sir, the book was in the lady's hand from the moment we arrived at the scene. Is that so? There's something about the statements not sitting right with me. Two mysteries of how that knife ended up in her bag and how that book ended up in her hand. Must be some common thread between them. Can I ask you something? Please, Mr. Lawyer, sir? Oh, yes, of course. What is it? You're doubting us, aren't you? I can tell. What? I wasn't really, what's she doing? Please, just because I'm a woman doesn't make my testimony any less valuable. Believe me, I agree with you. 100%. 100,000 million %. I agree with you. And also, you're very cute, but that has nothing to do with my agreement. You might just see me as the wife of a policeman, but I'm a woman of my word, I am. I really don't remember ever suggesting that I doubted you. No excuses. I don't want to hear it. My voice will be heard. My lord, you'll let me speak, won't you? Yes, Mrs. Beat, I will allow you to supplement your testimony if you so desire. Sometimes the path of least resistance is the sage one. That was a very loud mutter. I heard that. A Japanese man thinks a policeman's wife's word counts for nothing. Well, watch out, sir. I might let you get away with something like that, but my Rolly won't. Duly noted, Mrs. Beat. Please, I humbly ask you to continue. What could she possibly be about to say, I wondered. I know what I saw. My eyes never let me down. My sense of direction is a little off sometimes, though. What's next? Yeah, we need to... Yeah. I think I understand what's going on there, so...
Hold it!
Mrs. Beat, nobody is questioning what you've told us. About to. I saw it, I did. That evening, I saw it clearly. That little Eastern man with the whiskers and the funny curved back slinking away from the scene. And I know what I didn't see as well. I didn't see any flaming books or knives flying through the sky. All very clear. You also mentioned something about having a poor sense of direction? Oh, yes, well, that's a little embarrassing, really. Always ending up in the wrong... Excuse me. Constable Beat, is there a problem? No, sir, no problem, sir. Did your wife's remark just now bring something to mind, perhaps? Oh, well, in a way, sir, yes, sir. I was just remembering that same thing happened that evening is all. You mean Miss Beat lost her way on the night of the incident? Well, you see, I sent her off to find a police box in the next beat over from mine, but she was gone a fair bit longer than what I was expecting. Well, she'd be back inside 10 minutes, but my darling was gone a good 15. Oh, Frody, you're such a tease. The reason I was gone so long is because of the bouquet, silly. The bouquet? Sorry, what bouquet are you talking about? Oh, it was a present for our wedding anniversary, really so romantic. Saved up for it with far things and happenings. He found in a oh, well, doing his rounds. Yes, how romantic. I've forgotten all about that until just now. And you, my darling? Ah, yes, but that was just between us. No talking about it to anyone else, darling. Yep, promise. Really? Oh. What was that all about? Constable Beat looked very obviously troubled during the exchange. I can't offer any useful insight into matter, but I want to try one thing. You have to ask Mrs. Beat about the bouquet. Mrs. Beat, that's the bouquet you just mentioned. I'd like you to add details about it to your testimony, please. Oh, really? Yes, I'd love to. Oh, Van Zeeks, you're so quiet right now, and like, if I were the prosecution, I would not blame you. What happened was, I dropped my bouquet and ended up losing my wife for a while.
Hold it!
You mean you dropped the bouquet at the scene of the crime? Yes, that's right. Oh, I was so upset. I ran over and saw it was a woman with a knife in her back. I was so shocked I dropped the bouquet Rowley gave me. I was in a dark spot where the streetlights weren't casting any light, so I didn't notice at first. And then you went to the police box to report it to the policeman whose beat it was on. Yes, and then I came back to the scene together with the other constable, you see. When I spotted my bouquet again, the funny thing when I went to pick it up, it was nowhere near the victim's body at all. In case you need reminding, Mrs. Beat, the victim is not deceased. I was all flustered for a moment before I heard a voice calling me from the other side of the road. Your husband, presumably? That's right, silly me, I'd gone over to the wrong side of the street. Although I'm going to blame the bouquet this time, I can't think how it got there, I really can't. The bouquet somehow moved from one side of Briar Road to the opposite. That's a wide street. Curious indeed. Isn't it? But the worst of it is, I forgot to pick the bouquet up again when we left the scene. That beautiful rose Rowley bought me, that change from the gut he spent so long collecting. By bouquet, do you perhaps mean sorry solitary rose? Oh, yes, that's it. One rose? It's not a bouquet. That's the bouquet Rowley bought me for our anniversary, with those bits of change he found in the gutter. Maybe just call it a rose. Tell us what, Banzix, where did you come by the flower? According to the report by the police officer in charge of the crime scene investigation, it was found on the edge of the pavement in front of the Garadeb household. In front of the Garadeb's house? Although it wasn't noticed until the morning as it lay with the street lamps cast no light. It was believed to be of no relevance to the case since it was found on the opposite side of the thoroughfare. Thank you, sir, thank you. I have it back now, please. No, I think for good measure this row should be added to the court record as evidence. Oh. But it's a symbol of our love. I want it back after the trial. Do you hear me? I want it back. Good grief. Rest assured that I'll try my very best not to forget Mrs. Beat. Really? Nothing strange to report? Not even how the rose...
Objection!
I find that very difficult to believe. You claim, Constable Beat, that there was nothing to report in the 15 or so minutes you were guarding the scene, but that cannot be. Why can't it? Well, what do you mean to say? In your testimony just now, Mrs. Beat, you explained to the court that when you arrived at the scene of the crime with the policeman assigned to that beat, the bouquet you had dropped at the victim's side was no longer anywhere nearby.
Objection!
Yes, on the opposite side of the Briar Road where the victim was attacked. But considering the size of that meager bouquet, if a single sorry bloom can be so described, no doubt it was blown in the wind across the street back into the gutter where it belongs. Meager!
Objection!
But if that were the case, why did Constable Beat not testify to the fact? No one else approached the scene and nothing was removed from it. Constable Beat swore to that on Scotland Yard's honor. But the bouquet belonged with me. It had nothing to do with the case. That's why Rowley didn't mention it, I'm sure. No, because sadly, it's not only your bouquet we're talking about here. Did he move her body so that it wouldn't... Did he... No way. He moved her body. They walked on the side of the street by the Garadev's house. His wife has no sense of direction. Mr. Beat moved the body to the other side so it wouldn't be on his beat. More than one thing in this case is mysteriously the wrong way round. What are you talking about? Think about it. That's Mr. Beat's bouquet. There's Mr. Garadev's book. Mr. Garadev's book. Mr. Garadev's copy of the Lion's Pride was thrown out the window of his wife. Would have struck the pane of the casement window and landed here on the west side of the street. And yet, it was actually found here on the opposite side of the road in the victim's hand. Oh my god. Meanwhile, according to the testimony we've heard, Mrs. Beat's bouquet should have been dropped here at the scene of the crime on the east side of the street. But in fact, it was actually found here on the opposite side of the road, in front of Mr. and Mrs. Garadev's house. There's no logical explanation for these things, unless somebody deliberately moved them. What are you trying to say? The way you're talking, it sounds like you think my Rolly's done something wrong. Don't you listen to a word that scrawny lawyer says? Wittering on about books and bookcases. Why should we care? It's nitpicking. That's what it is. Oh good, Mrs. Garadev's come around. You might call it nitpicking, Mrs. Garadev. But deliberately meddling with the scene of a crime is a criminal offense. It's called, tampering, Mr. Naruhodo. The person responsible for this tampering cannot admit to it, for a very subtle but compelling reason. Tampering? You've barely heard the term before. Tell us, my learned friend, who would possibly have had the cause to carry out such an elaborate deception? I know who it was. It was Mr. Beat. Yeah, I'm learned.
Take that!
Obviously, there's only one person it could have been. Constable Rolly Beat, it was you. What? A policeman? A member of Scotland Yard? What nonsense! Why would my Rolly do something like that? There's no one straighter than my husband. No, Bobby works more tirelessly for the people of London. Oh no, I can't relate, honey, to that first sentence. But take your word for it. Mrs. Beat, you said in your testimony that your husband asked you to go get a nearby police box to fetch the officer on duty. The 15 minutes that we were absent from the scene is the only opportunity anyone had to tamper with. You're making it up. It's nonsense. It's all lies. What about that Japanese man with the whiskers? I bet it was him. He did it.
Objection!
If that was true, Mr. Constable Beat would have seen him do it. Oh. Forgive me for pointing it out, but when you dropped your bouquet, Mrs. Beat, it was after the defendant had fled the scene. But
Objection!
first you make accusations about the landlord and his wife, and now you incriminate a policeman as well. But your accusations lack one very important thing, evidence. The claim to the crime scene was tampered with. There's only one reason why anyone would commit such a reckless crime, to hide something. It's the rules. But my husband and I just happened to be there, that's all. I wouldn't have anything to hide, it doesn't make sense. You've offered no motive for this alleged tampering. Until you do, your accusation... I have it. That's the key to this entire thing. Naruhodo, have you managed to solve this mystery? I got this, girl. Counsel, you have made a very serious accusation against a London police officer. If you are mistaken, I'm sure. Reputation of the law. That's top one in mind. What is this going to be, all 4 exclamation points? Nope, just one. Where the victim fell. Where the victim fell to the ground. That is what this Bobby had to cover up at all costs. What? Where the victim fell? You mean where she was attacked? Talking about? We told you at the very start, didn't we? On the pavement of Briar Road. We saw what happened, remember? It was right here, as if anyone didn't already know. That's certainly what everybody has been led to believe, but in fact, that wasn't where the victim was stabbed at all. What? What? I'm beginning to wonder whether this tumultuous trial will end, Counsel. If that's your assertion, then the court is dying to know my Nipponese friend. And I will be on that cookie clicker bullshit too. Where are you proposing the crime actually took place that evening? Right here.
Take that!
But that's on the opposite side of the road. I don't understand. On the evening in question, Mr. Garadev's book fell directly down from the open window above, and your bouquet, Miss B, never moved at all. What did move was the scene of the crime itself. Good gracious.
Objection!
Perhaps you haven't been listening to the ample testimony the court has heard. But these witnesses both saw the moment the attack took place. That's right, I saw it with my own eyes. It was 5 o'clock in the evening and already dark. It was a typical London fog on the ground. When you saw the incident unfold and ran to the victim's aid. That was actually on the west side of Briar Road. No, that's not true. It can't have been. Constable Beat then arranged for you to be absent for a while by sending you for help. And during the 15 minutes you were away, he transplanted the crime scene. He moved all the things shown in this print, the victim herself, and the 4 books. He moved everything, in fact, the pavement on the east side of Briar Road. Extraordinary. But then the constable overlooked one thing. What? What did he overlook? The bouquet, I presume? Exactly. The prosecution told the court just a few minutes ago about the discovery of the rose bouquet. Lord Van Zeek said it wasn't noticed until the morning, as it lay where the street lamps cast no light. Yes, it couldn't be seen in the dark, obviously. Which is why it was only the bouquet was found in its original position on the pavement on the west side of Briar Road. That is the defense's theory about what really happened that evening. How do you respond? Constable Rolly Beat. Witness transformation? Well, I'm very sorry. I didn't mean to nod off again, but I haven't slept properly in a month. Did I miss anything important? Oh, Rolly. Isn't true, is it? What this lawyer said is all lies, isn't it? I know it is, because you're the most upstanding, righteous man I know. I had a dream, a terrible dream. All the things that I did that night, everything come out, everything exposed. Only it seems it wasn't a dream. It wasn't a dream at all. Did he just confess it? Good golly. Oh my god, he just confessed it. He's gonna lose his job as a policeman at least. Order, order, order. What on earth is the meaning of all this? Oh, really? Why? Why would you do something like this? Moving a corpse is a criminal offense, isn't it? Wishing the victim's dead should be one, too. Constable, explain yourself. Why would you do this? As a respected member of Scotland Yard, your duty is to protect the good people of London Town. I can't say, sir. What? I really am ever so sorry about all this, for damaging the Yard's reputation, for everything. I have a possible explanation for why, on that particular evening, Constable Beat felt compelled to move the scene of the crime. I can think of one reason. How could you possibly know? You foreigner, presuming to understand the mind of a Scotland Yard policeman. I need a drink of water. I haven't had one since I took that second intermission. And yet, Lord Van Zeek, it is this foreigner who has uncovered the startling truth of the matter thus far. I believe it would be beneficial to the court to hear this extraordinary young lawyer's theory. Counsel for the defense, if you please. Yes, my lord. Now then, I think you'd better show us some evidence. I got this, girl. England, Japan. You and questions are the same. Thank you for giving me the warrant card. I realize that I'm a foreigner in this land. I'm only just arrived from Japan, which is why all the information about London's so-called bobbies is completely new to me. I've learned that, though honorable, patrolling the beat is the most demanding work in the world, for example. Keeping the peace, looking after the citizens on this beat in all kinds of ways. There's no doubt that the young bobby is charged with a great deal to do each day, certainly. But for Constable Beat, the day in question was special. Special? How? On account of this bouquet, my lord. Oh yes, it was our very first wedding anniversary. Constable Beat had worked so hard to be able to afford this simple gift for his wife, and was looking forward to taking her out for a celebratory meal, when he and Mrs. Beat stumbled upon a crime along Briar Road. When he saw that shadowy figure through the fog collapse on the pavement ahead of them, what must have gone through the man's mind? This might be Ryu, actually. But sir, just on that one particular day, I was looking forward to celebrating my wedding anniversary. Mrs. Beat puts up with a lot for being married to a bobby like me. I wanted to show her that my dear wife, how much I care. This is the warrant card that the Constable Beat offered to lend to me earlier. Inside, among the rules for patrolling policemen, it says, when a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives. Aha! Constable Beat. Is that or is that not the reason why you moved the whole scene of the crime that day? Yes. Yes. Everything he said, it's alright. So that's it. It was all to do with the boundary of your beat. Oh. Exactly. To summarize, the incident actually occurred on Constable Beat's beat. Good gracious, Constable, do you realize the gravity of what you've done? It was the first time since I became a copper that I'd ever cursed God. It occurs to me that the criminal could still be lurking somewhere. As we ran over to the scene, I had every intention of doing my duty as a police officer. Got to report this to the station as quickly as possible. But then it dawned on me. I realized where we were, where the victim was lying, and what that meant for me. When a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with the initial investigations and help detectives. Why here? Why did that have to happen here? And why tonight of all nights? Why? It's a cop's job to guard the scene of the crime, so I told Pat she'd have to go to the nearest police box and fetch whoever's on duty there. It was then, when I opened my mouth to speak, it just came out. I couldn't believe the words that were coming out of my own mouth. This is the next beat to mine, Pat. So you'll have to go to the police box that covers it. Turn right along Meerschaum Street and then... I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh, Constable. I just wanted, just that one night, to take my Patricia out for dinner. Oh, Rolly. Just that one night. You knew that if the incident was on your beat, your evening of celebration would be ruined, and so you decided to move the entire crime scene outside your jurisdiction. Just across the street, to the east pavement of Briar Road, which falls under the neighboring beat's care. This is actually really sad. You see, I thought I was sure the victim was dead, you see. I beg your pardon. Oh, of course he did. Otherwise my Rolly would never have left the poor woman on that freezing cold pavement. I see your meaning now. But God got me back from my sins, didn't he? That's why I missed the rose I bought for Pat. Oh no, Rolly. Oh no, Rolly, that was all my fault. I'd never have dropped it in such a dark place. I'm so sorry, Rolly. And can you tell us, Constable, how many books did you move from one side of the road to the other in total? 4 it was, yes sir, definitely 4. 3 of them dropped by Mr. Natsume, and the 4th being the one that fell from the window upstairs in the Garadev household, of course. But what made you place that book in the victim's hand, when all the others were scattered around, haphazardly around, I mean? Oh, well sir, that's because that's how I found it. How you found it? What do you mean? When we first ran over to the scene, the victim was already holding the book, so when I moved everything, I made sure it was still in her hand. You're sure it was this book the Lion's Pride the victim was holding? Oh yes, sir. No doubt about it, sir. Interesting. Wow. I thought it was an open and shut case at the time, you see. There were only 2 people at the scene, and Pat and me both saw it happen. However, which way you looked at it, it had to be the fellow who ran off who'd done it, I thought. I couldn't see the harm, really. I didn't think moving it all over the road would make a jot of difference. I suppose this is it for me now. I've had it. My lord. Yes, Lord Fanseeks? I believe that concludes the cross-examination of the witnesses. Constable, you may withdraw. Yes, sir. Mr. Prosecutor, sir, what will become of my Rowley? What will happen to him? And now you're free to go home. The police will contact you in due course. Please, don't touch my husband. This was all my fault. Because I'm always moaning at him for him coming home late. Leave it now, Pat. Let's go home. I'm tired. And we want to get one more sex before I'm off to jail, you see. Alright then, my love. One last thing, Constable. Sir, let this be a lesson to you. In a criminal investigation, every detail matters, however insignificant it may seem to you. Yes, sir. Carve that lesson in your mind. And never again make the mistake of tampering with the scene of a crime. Ah? Never again, sir? You mean to say... Leave now. The trial is not yet over. Yes, sir. He has a heart? Well, quite a startling revelation, I must say. What the thought of a third-party transplanting the entire scene of a crime. Like, the scenes of the crime in this game just move. It's the thing. The only scene of the crime that has not moved is the restaurant in case 1. In case 2, the ship was technically moving along the ocean, so the scene of the crime moved positions. In case 3, the scene of the crime was an omnibus, and it moved. And in this case, it moved across the street. Indeed, my lord. Nevertheless, there are some immutable facts here. Principally, that the accused Mrs. Soseki Natsume is the only person who could have possibly committed the crime. No, I disagree with all of the reasons that you're mad at me. Now that we know that the true scene of the incident, there is someone else. Another person who could be responsible for the knife in the victim's back. Forgive me for being presumptuous, but I believe the prosecution is probably well aware of this possibility already. Lord Van Zeeks, is this true? Very well. Name the person if you will, and if further investigation is warranted, the prosecution has no objection to the trial continuing.
Take that!
The defense would once again like to request the cross-examination of a new witness, my lord. Once again? My assistant made the same request earlier. In order to finally reveal the truth about this case, it's imperatively cross-examine juror number 4, Mrs. Joan Garridev. Me? Me? Oh dearie me.
Objection!
That request has already been denied, but the situation is very different now. Mrs. Garridev, answer me this. What do you want now, you little toad? Oh, you want to talk, Umbridge. At the time of the incident, you were engaged in a violent argument with your husband, Mr. John Garridev. In the course of this argument, a minor house fire was ignited. And to clear the smoke from the room, your husband opened a window that looks out over Briar Road. Well, what of it? You threw this book at your husband when he was covering with his back against the window. On striking the pane of the open-top hinged casement window, the book plummeted directly down, finding its way to what we now know to be the true scene of the incident. Yes, and as I said, what of it? During the argument, you were beside yourself with rage. As such, you threw not just books, but anything you could lay your hands on. So, let me ask you one more time, Mrs. Garrido. This knife, the one removed from the victim's back. Have you really never laid eyes on it before? I don't recall it. Seriously? Am I supposed to remember everything I picked up and threw at my husband? Yes. And anyway, the man over there and all that regalia said the members of the jury needn't testify, didn't he? Conveniently, yes.
Objection!
No, I have no recollection of saying that at all. Juror number 4. Oh! Make no mistake, you jurors are not special in any way. You are not immune to the judicial process. Bro? You on my side right now? Trying to get in my pants? I'm down. All you had to do was say hello when I was there. If you know something about this knife, madam, let the truth come out. But that's just a common old cotton knife. It could come from anywhere. We have several like that at home. If one were missing, how would you expect me to know? What's that? Are you joking? What are you saying, please, Mrs. Garrido? No, you listen to me. I refuse to believe all this nonsense. I couldn't bear the thought that I injured someone. Do you hear? I couldn't bear it. Oh, the poor woman. So, yes, I want evidence. I want to see hard evidence if you're going to insist on this being my fault. You're going to have to prove to me that I threw that knife, if that's what you think. Come along now, chop chop. Do your worst. Oh, I know it. Well. You can take the stand, juror. Oh. The prosecution does not object. Thank you, Lord Van Zieks. Hey, I'm going to have to testify. Juror number 4, as I'm sure you'll appreciate, having observed it with your own eyes today. Witness testimony can lead to the most extraordinary truth being unearthed, truths of which the witnesses themselves may not have even been aware. Dearie me. Wales is playing Stellaris. So I demand your full and unadulterated testimony, Mrs. Garrido. And mark my words, in this court of law today, we shall extract the truth. Do you concur, counsels? Certainly, my lord. Oh, that's what I'm hoping for, my lord. This is such a strange feeling. For the first time since arriving in this country, it actually feels real. In here, in the Old Bailey. I'm here, in the Old Bailey, and I'm a lawyer. Witness, state your name and occupation. Oh, yes, my name is Joan Garrideb, and I'm a juror and such like. Sounds like she doesn't even know if she's a housewife or a maid or what anymore. The court has decided your testimony is required in order to clarify matters in the case. Do you understand, madam? Yes, my lord. You will tell the court everything that took place in your household on the evening in question. And I warn you, do not attempt to hide the truth. You know, I get the feeling that Van Zieks is like kind of like a Clavier in that like he really wants to find the truth and he doesn't really care about winning that much, but like he also is like a total hard ass and like, you know, scary and whatever. That part's not like Clavier, but I have a feeling that he's probably the prosecutor most concerned with the truth and not ulterior motives. That's the vibe I'm getting. This is a major shift for me in my perception of him. Before, I thought he was more like a Von Karma or a Case 2 Edgeworth. But now I'm thinking of him like a Clavier or a modern Edgeworth. Oh, dearie me. Chin up, Joni. Chin up, Joni. Oh, what the hell? Chin up, Joni. Oh, I didn't know you were here, John. Oh, your face is healed. Thank God. Wasn't only you in the room that day, old thing, was it? Oh, think I ought to testify as well, don't you? But what about your knee, dear? Don't you worry about that. Hardly notice it. I'm not the short chap to leave a comrade to face disciplinary action alone. Oh, John. Presuming you're Mr. John Garrido. Yes, sir. Former second lieutenant of the 3rd Regiment of 4th Northumberland Fusiliers, sir. Seen my fair share of action now, and now living the quiet life, as it were. Right, Laura, were you not engaged with an incendiary battle with your spouse on the day in question? Well, yes, quite. I believe this may represent a first in the proud history of the British court. Holding a juror to the witness stand is unprecedented. However, the court will hear your testimony now, juror number 4, and that of your husband. You will recount clearly and concisely the events in your home at the time of the incident in question. Sir, at once. He's so asymmetrical. It looks like his other shoulder is longer than one shoulder's longer than the other one just because of the way he's standing. The hell of Garrideb, that's funny. Yes, on the day you're referring to, the wife and I did have a bit of a skirmish. Can't recall the reason now. Knocked a candlestick over and set fire to the carpet. Soon had it out though, and got the window open. Meanwhile, I was picking up whatever I could find, throw it in. Plenty of knives around our place. Can't say I'd noticed one or two went missing, I'm afraid. If that holy thing in the victim's back really was one of ours, you'd have a job proving it, I think. Sounds like as though it was quite the battlefield in your household that evening. Although an entirely one-sided assault, it seems. The enemy caught us on the hop, sir. Had no choice but to dig in and take defensive measures. To be honest, if the enemy had kept shelling us for another minute, we'd have been lost, toast. Of course, a veteran such as myself. With only too aware that on every battlefield, you're just a gnat's whisk up in death at any moment. Are we still talking about a marital quarrel here? Well, I must say that I'm dubious that this testimony will shed any light on the origins of this jackknife. In combat, one's focus narrows such that surroundings are barely noticed. These witnesses may not be able to offer anything more than they have testified already. This might be a dead end. And Zeeks may well be right. Well, whatever the chances, we only have this last cross-examination to uncover the truth, Miss yes, I'm afraid so. Very well, Counsel. Begin your cross-examination. Battle of Garradet. Yes, on the day you're referring to, the one. Oh, yeah. I recall the reason. The reason was what you told us yesterday, I believe. Yes, that's right. If I remember correctly, it all started because of a note that was tucked into the page of a book belonging to Mr. Garradet. Rather passionate note, in fact. Mrs. Garradet found the note, discovering her husband's little secret. And she gave him a mighty number of slaps across the face for it, too. What a sordid state of affairs. Hell on earth. I say, when a chap says he can't recall such things, it's common decency not to drag it all up. And besides, half of it was wide of the mark anyway. I was gonna make the same joke. A likely story. These waters run very deep. And what transpired next after these multiple blows to the face? It's only such a fucking bop. Oh my god. I wasn't really like huge on it. Like I thought it was good, but I didn't think it was great at first. But like the more I've been listening to it, it's so good. And the fire also spread to some items of furniture, didn't it? The bookcase, my armchair, anything of mine, really. It so happens that there was some bath water around that evening, so I slushed that about to put it out. Most precarious situation you put yourself in. Oh, oops. Ours is a 3-story townhouse on the west side of the street where the main water main isn't connected yet. I have to draw water from a public water pump during the day if you need any, you see. The lodgers are always moaning that they can't get away with water at night. Although, that little mustache Japanese man buys water in bottles, I believe. Defendant Mr. Natsume, you mean? Yes, he receives a stipend for his studies, you know, from his home country. Can you imagine, being able to brew a pot of tea at all hours? He's obviously very well off. Have you actually seen the state of the man? I believe he uses all of his income to buy books. Well, anyway, the point is I was able to douse the fire with water, fortunately enough. Meanwhile, I was picking up whatever I could find. Even though the room was on fire? As far as I was concerned at the time. It was more important to extinguish my anger than the flames. When a woman wants to throw, she must throw. That is most certainly not true of a Suzato takedown, Mr. Naruhodo. How did she know I was thinking that? So please cast your mind back and try to remember. Was a knife among the items you threw at your husband that day? In all honesty, I don't recall. I feel I must point out that I'm no monster. Let me see. Some bread, a cabbage, garlic.
Jupiter!
A napkin. Yes.
Excuse me!
Wait a minute. I have a question. Like, are the other two, the Fop and the Horatio dude, gonna show up anytime soon? Don't answer that, but like, Mr. Garradet. Yeah? Don't shoot. Oh, sorry. Beg your pardon? Did your wife's remark just now just bring something to mind? Nothing of any significance, no. Just that the barrage of projectiles the old thing launched in my direction was somewhat more solid than she implies. Books, bricks, and the fire poker I seem to recall. Ouch. And the woman's aim is uncanny. Being landed directly with every volley. Good grief, woman, we're not at home now. This is a court of law. Oh, dearie me. Ever so sorry, dear. What's she even doing with a teapot in here? Honestly, John, I never would have thrown such things at you, obviously. Well, take a look at this then. How do you think this happened, hmm? Your pipe, sir? Had this thing in my hand as usual at the time of the onslaught? I'll clean out with one of a soft projectile, she did. Yes. When I went to pick the thing up, it was broken in two. I like to see a sponge do that sort of damage. See, your pipe was broken. It would never been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. Anyway, I've managed to bandage the thing up for now. You are one to exaggerate, aren't you, dear? I wonder what we should make of this. It could be important. The defense believes Mr. Garrett's remarks just now to be of great significance.
Objection!
This war veteran's words only tell us one thing. A fiery wife and pipes as well as hearts may be broken. Sentimental wisdom, perhaps, but hardly worthy of adding to the formal testimony. Indeed, common sense, as one might say. Might one? In that case, would you at least permit us to examine the pipe, sir? Well, I don't see why not. Oh, dear me, there you go again, trying to ingratiate yourself with a young lady. Very well, the court will accept the gentleman's pipe as evidence. Let's see what we got. I knew it. I didn't say it, but I knew it. The tip of the knife would be in there. Oh, something just twinkled inside the chair. What's this? It's a tiny fragment of metal. Looks like the tip of a blade. A blade surely couldn't be. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. How did it get in there? She must... What? I can't wait to hear the explanation for this. Oh my, it's a perfect hit. Somehow, I just knew it. But that doesn't update the weapon? Okay. Okay, let's do it.
Hold it!
Oh, shit. No, there's no other...
Objection!
That might be it. It might be that she threw the... She might have thrown the knife against the wall, broken it. And then, that piece just happened to fly off. Because he dropped his pipe and it flew in half, so it's... I don't know. You forget my Nipponi's friend. That is yet to be established that the accused is not responsible for the attack. As if I could forget. Fingerprint, you mean it's not a dream? That's sort of which... Whenever people touch anything, they leave behind a unique pattern from their skin, or so they say. They can't see anything. There are already countries in the world where these so-called fingerprints can be used as evidence. Lord Strongheart is currently discussing the matter at the Ministry of Justice. Yes, I believe we are rapidly approaching a scientific method of investigation. For now, we shall have to find an alternative method for this. That's my phone. Yeah. I have it.
Objection!
Mr. Garadeb, could I ask you to take a look at this, please? You can ask, but I can't see a bally thing. You can? You used to call me Dead-Eyed Deb. Back in the regiment, of course, but that was some time ago now. When I'm trying to enjoy a large print book by the fire these days. Struggled to tell a B from a D and a P from a Q, to be honest. Oh, he does. Dear me, it's rather wearying being asked about every other letter and every other word. You must be very dizzy. Oh my god! It's so funny. What the hell were you? Savage as shit. It's not nice to make fun of things like that. Oh my god. What is that? What is that? A tiny scrap of metal? Yes, almost certainly from the tip of a blade. And what may at first appear to be a tiny scrap is in fact a crucial piece of evidence. Interesting. And where did the defense come by this evidence? It was lodged in the chamber of Mr. Garrett's pipe. Pipe, you say? By Jove, I wonder how that got there. And what precisely does this fragment of metal signify? So, are you suggesting that in some way related to the matter of the stabbing on Briar Road? I am. What? When put together with another piece of evidence from the already in the court record, I believe it's kind of Yes. Present the evidence.
Take that!
It's the knife. What else? This is the knife that was found in the victim's back. If you look closely, you'll see that there's a small piece at the tip of the blade that is missing. Common issue with the inferior blades sold at unsavory street markets. Criminals who use them regularly leave the tips lodged in their victims' bones. And what of this particular knife? No doubt, its tip has suffered a similar fate, now languishing somewhere near the spine of the victim. No, that's not the case. The tip of this particular knife's blade is the very fragment of metal we discovered in the chamber of Mr. Garrett's pipe. Ugh, don't get shot. Even in pain, he's just so attractive. Every new sprite is attractive. It's those eyes. Simping for Van Zeeks. The knife from the crime scene and this fragment of metal are a perfect match. Good golly gosh. I think the idea is he just got, like, shot, or, like, that's what he's going for. Order, is this some sort of Eastern sorcery? This is no magic, my lord. This is a miracle. A miracle? So Van Zeeks has figured it out, has he? Consul, explain this extraordinary coincidence at once. Yes, my lord. The question we have to ask ourselves is, when did the fragment of metal find its way into Mr. Garrett's pipe? Something that was clarified for us in the most recent witness testimony. Yeah. Oh, dearie me. During the argument between these two that occurred just as the victim was on the pavement below, Mrs. Garrett had flung this knife at her husband. However, the knife missed Mr. Garrett instead of striking the pipe in his hand at the time, which caused the tip to break off, of course. Good lord. Yes, and that is when the tiny tip of the blade found its way inside Mr. Garrett's pipe. The chances of that are 1,000,000 to 1. Yet there's no other credible explanation for how the tip of the blade ended up in your pipe. Then, after losing its tip, the knife ricocheted off the pipe and flew out of the open window. In short, this knife, which fell from the window of the Garrett's house, is the very same knife that struck the victim in the middle of the back on the street below. Oh gosh, oh dear, oh.
Objection!
Full body theory, I'll give you that. A complex bouquet, seemingly trivial points, plausibly arranged to create almost passable vintage. Allow me to toast my learned friend's characteristically Nipponese approach to bottling his argument. Sorry? But after all, it is just a theory, a game theory. The bottle, I fear, is corked. As you see, my leg, it is spoilt by an insurmountable inconsistency. An insurmountable... What? Lord Van Zeeks, explain yourself. What is this inconsistency you claim to have identified? An inconsistency of the simplest nature, my lord. The victim was found with a knife planted in the middle of her back. Yes, in her... Ah! That's right. You silly little man. Now, journaling. What are you getting so excited about? Let us consider the basic facts of the case once more. The victim was walking along the pavement before being stabbed in the back and falling to the ground. If the knife that had struck her fallen from above. There's no possible way it could have planted itself into the victim's... That's what I've been saying. That is my one sticking point for this. No pun intended, for this entire thing. Order. Quite right. You see, that's exactly right. If the knife had fallen on her above, it would have struck her on the top of her head. Well, he's lost for words. Look. I knew it. Never liked it here in the first place. Another. When did that really happen? What really did happen? It would appear as the defense has made a rather spectacular one. If the theory has even one inconsistency, it cannot stand. Your theory, my learned friend, is history. Look at my hand, my oak hands. You're so close, I can see the truth. Don't. Or in other words, we simply need to eliminate that one inconsistency and the theory will stand. It's Susato. You mustn't worry, Mr. Naruhodo. You were just caught off guard, that's all, and your mind went blank. But if the path you were on is indeed correct, no way will present itself. The key to this is in the court record. I'm sure all the information you need is there. Seems you have nothing to say, my Nippon-ese friend. Very well, your silence speaks volumes. Tacit acceptance that your theory is fatally flawed.
Objection!
It was a voice objection, we don't need to... Doesn't mean I was on track. It means that I need to sharpen my mind and dig deeper for the truth. The logic dive? Yes. If the knife fell on the victim from above, there's no way it could hit her in the middle of her back. Under normal circumstances, that is. What are you implying? There's a piece of evidence in the court record that can explain this inconsistency. And can explain how the knife from above could have pierced the victim's back. We already have the answer. Goodness, what a madness. Surely this must be the last time. Counsel, present the evidence of which you speak. I was thinking, like, yeah, that's not a very convincing objection for us to select. Okay, let's see what it is. I want to see this. I haven't really paid attention to it. Did she slip on ice? That can't be it. I don't know what else it could be.
Take that!
It's fine. Yeah, that's wrong. You can put down your prime. Oh. Wait, no. It's my armband.
Take that!
Oh, it was the other photograph. This, the fourth book found at the scene. This is the final piece of evidence the defense will present. The burnt book. That not Mr. Garadeb's book. Yes, and to understand its significance, we have to consider how it came to be at the scene in the first place. This photographic print clearly shows the book in question, and the victim holding it in her hand. But as we all now know, it was the police constable that put the book between her fingers like that. Quite so, as part of his wholesale transplanting of the crime scene to the opposite side of the road. That's true, however. As part of his testimony, Constable Beat made an extremely enlightening statement on that point. He found her like that. Wait. Oh, well, sir, that's because that's how I found it. When I first ran out to the scene, the victim was already holding the book. And when I moved everything, I made sure it was still in the hand. In other words, the victim had already picked the book up of her own volition. And clearly, that must have been before she suffered the knife wound. Well, I should say so. After being attacked with a knife, I don't imagine she'd be done doing much of anything. So the question becomes, why did the victim have that book in her hand? By Jingo. I think I'm beginning to see what may have happened now. Oh dear me. We know that the book fell from the top floor of the Garadeb household onto the pavement below, precisely the moment the victim was walking past. Yes, at exactly that moment. The young woman was walking along the street in a light fog, when all of a sudden the book fell right in front of her. The book I threw. Yes, Mrs. Garadeb, and what do you think the woman did? What would you do if you were walking along and suddenly a book landed in front of you on the pavement? Well, I can't really imagine it, but I suppose she might have reached down. This poor woman. The victim. Yes, that is exactly what the woman in fact did. She picked up the book. Oh heavens! And when the woman reached down to pick the fallen book up, what position would her back have been? But I can't imagine, unless the base of the knife is extremely heavy, I can't imagine a knife falling with enough force, and staying straight down, to land in someone's back and pierce the skin. Then, in the very next moment, while the woman is still bent over picking up the book, I can't believe that. I mean, like, it's crazy. If the base of the knife is extremely heavy, it's a big knife, so it's possible. The next object fell from the room above, the back knife straight in the middle of her back. And at the same time, walking by chance directly behind Mrs. Green, was the defendant, Mr. Soseki Natsume. I guess, yeah. What's real? Sure, but like you have to consider something. That knife, if a knife ricocheted off of the pipe and fell out the window, it would probably be spinning. At least for a while. And the base weighs more than the top, so it would probably, unless it was perfectly even, it would continue spinning. And the area that... I can believe it happened, it's just... wow. It appeared to Mr. Natsume. The woman simply collapsed on the floor. In the dark and the fog, he didn't see the knife falling on him from above. Oh. And from the other direction, the constable and his wife saw no one but the victim and her apparent attacker, though there never was a real culprit to run from the scene in the first place. No, this is nothing more than a series of unlikely events that culminated in an unfortunate accident. And that is the real truth behind this case. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb? The very first time you showed me that knife, my suspicions. I wondered if perhaps it might have been something like that. There have been Poor Mrs. Garadev. Poor Olive Green. Of course, I never meant for anything of the sort to happen, but it was my fault, wasn't it? I take full responsibility. I let my anger get the better of me. I threw that book. Yeah, poor everyone indeed. And I threw the knife as well. John, dear, it's alright, I know. I'm ever so sorry. Truly. I'm sorry! Yeah, wow. Everything in this game is so tragic. Literally everything. Yeah, Giselle, Brett, and Magilda. Yeah, fuck them. Lord Van Zeeks, what news of Mrs. Garadev? He's been taken to the infirmary. It appeared that today's events had left her in an especially flustered state. However, I believe she will recover in due course. There is no cause for concern. Yes, unbeknownst to themselves, they caused what could have easily been a terrible tragedy. They shall have to prepare themselves for the consequences of their actions. There is some good news, however, my lord. I've just had word from the hospital where the victim is being treated. Her condition is improving steadily, and the doctor believes she will gain consciousness soon. That's great news. Oh my god. It's strange, we've been talking about the victim all this time, but we've never once met her. Oh, wonderful. The woman is out of danger, it seems. It says, until she dies in case 5, I'm telling you what. Yes, that is good news. So, Mr. Suzuki Natsume. Yes. On behalf of my fellow countrymen, I would like to take this opportunity to beg your pardon, sir. You came from your distant eastern homeland to study our great British culture, and have been repaid with immeasurable unkindness. Please accept our heartfelt apologies. No, it is me who should be begging your pardon. Oh no, Mr. Natsume. That evening, when the young woman collapsed on the pavement before my eyes, I jumped to the wrong conclusion again in my confusion. What conclusion, sir? I was sure that the woman was dead. Yes, Constable Beat said the same thing, didn't he? He thought she'd been killed too. But she must have looked completely lifeless. It's been about a year since I arrived in Great Britain now, but I still can't get used to life here. I can't relax. I'm sure there are evil spirits lurking in the fog, like they're haunting me. Poor Soseki-san, his imagination has really got the better of him. Yes, poor man. So when it happened, I thought the young woman had been taken by the fog spirits. I should never have dropped my books like that and run away. I should have called for help, for a doctor, for the police. Instead, I've managed to create a rift in the relationship of trust between our two empires. And for that, I am truly sorry. You have nothing to apologize for. What a great guy. One could indeed say that some sort of mischievous spirit had been at work here, I think. One that created a chain of unfortunate mishaps. A series of unfortunate events, if you will. We were befooled by the spirit and led to false conclusions. But thanks to Lord Van Zeeks and our young lawyer here from the east, that chain has now been broken and the spirit exorcised. So is this judge the recorder of the Bailey? Is he like the chief judge of the Bailey? Because there should be other judges here. Oh. Now then, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Yes, my lord. In concluding this trial, I must ask for one last time for decisions regarding the defendant's culpability. Are you ready to present your findings to the court? As the foreman of this jury, I can assure you that we've reached a fair and just conclusion. I do declare the truth can be extremely cruel at times. Well, I didn't suspect the woman next to me, that's for sure. Sitting in for the old bean while she's out of action, no, but I know what her decision would be. Does this mean I'll finally be able to get out of here and start work? It's about time. I say, I'm a quark of a story to tell the grandchildren about when I get home, won't I? Very well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I hereby demand your final decision. Mr. Foreman?
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Oh god, what a voice.
Guilty.
Not guilty.
Very well, Mr. Soseki Natsume, I hereby pronounce you. Yay. Even in the old days, they had confetti. Look at that. And fireworks, too. I wonder why that went away. And finally, Mr. Natsume. Oh, yes, Lord, sir. You are now a free man once more. Eat confetti, old boy. It is my hope that you will continue to further your education in British culture, and may you never again be brought before me. Oh, yes, sir, of course. On my life. I swear I'll never set foot in a courtroom again. Transported 2 tears. Thank you, counsels. Court is adjourned. Oh my god. Oof. That one did a number. The Old Bailey defends the industry. Oh, locum. Ecum bocum locum. Wait, you mean me? Of course! Is there another locum here? Is there even one? Compared to the original locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire, your name has become rather short, hasn't it? What's wrong with using my actual name? At last, I'm free, I'm free. Joyful, joyous, jubilant, jubilation. Eddie, party, happiness, hurrah. Oh, I am pleased. Mr. Natsume's delighted. So hard just to say that then? Locum, you did it. You saved me from the brink. Well, what happened to the poor woman is in no way your fault after all. I'm just glad everyone can see that now. No, not that. Lovely, loyal, locum, lawyer. Yes? I mean, as I said before, I've just never got used to life here in Great Britain. Every time I look over my shoulder, I see foreigners, I see towering brick buildings. And from high up windows, I can see them looking down on me, laughing. Look at that little hunchback. Oh dear, I'm sure it's all in your head, Mr. Natsume. But today, you, local lawyer, gave me my gloom to boot. You stood firm behind that baronial bench, all before those babbling British. You've battled to the bitter end, laying bare the baffling truth. And when I beheld the blinding fireworks on the beams of the Bailey's roof, I bellowed, "Behold the best barrister ever born." Well, it's very flattering, and we're very pleased for you. He's eccentric, he's a writer. This is giving me a wonderful anecdote to recount to my old friends back in Japan. An anecdote? Is that what's to become of all my hard work? Oh, there you are, my dear fellow. I apologize for keeping you waiting. I rose late this morning. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, what a pleasure to see you. I see I'm not here a moment too soon. A disaster has been averted, I'm glad to say. Oh. Trial shall begin presently, Miss... Oh my god. It's just finished. What? No. Then my haste was in vain? Ah, it's you, Herlock Sholmes. Oh, have we met, sir? This is Mr. Natsume, the man you had arrested, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, I see. I failed to recognize you at first. Our previous accounts had taken place in the gloom, either of your bleak lodgings or that prison cell. I couldn't place that curious face in the light. Charming. This is all your fault, Herlock Sholmes. You're the reason I had to go through this terrible ordeal, and I'm going to give you peace of my mind. My apologies, sir, but I assure you I've placed you now. You are the fellow who abandoned that poor lady and ran off, are you not? Had she been in the hospital, taken to the hospital more urgently? Oh, what? Oh, yeah. Oh, you're a human after all. Anyone would have shaped such an experience. I do feel very badly about how I behaved. Well, never mind. Now then, what was it that you wanted to say to me, sir? Nothing. Priceless. Oh, I am sorry, really, but that was quite priceless. Poor Suzeki-san. Still, on the bright side, you had an extremely entertaining experience without paying a penny. And it would seem that you were not even found guilty. But there is no bright side. Whatever you mean, Mr. Natsume. Even after this, I'm still cursed by the spirits and now by the Reaper. Oh, Advancey. And forgotten, you know, what facing that man in court means. Even if you're found not guilty, you're still doomed. It will be alright, Mr. Natsume. If the Reaper appears trying to make trouble, I will protect you. Why me? The perfectly executed Susato takedown. Much as I like being turned on my head, a bit of warning might be nice next time, Susato. God, what a motley crew. So, Mr. Natsume, what do you intend to do now? You mentioned something about recounting your experiences to your friend back in Japan? Yes, I intend to return to my homeland soon. Oh. It has already been a year since I arrived here in Great Britain. I've visited universities, libraries, bookshops, I've been honored by the tutelage of professors, I've learned so much about the will of literature here and the city it has shaped. And I've come to realize that it's my calling to sail home and tell my fellow countrymen about it. That's very touching, Mr. Natsume. Or, in perhaps less veiled terms, you wish to withdraw halfway around the world to escape the terror of the Reaper's curse. That's not it at all. The more I learn of literature, the more the strange land feeling floods my inside. I feel compelled to return to my roots and attempt to pen a work of my own. Oh, I see. Work of literature by Soseki-san. Could be an interesting read. What about Mrs. Susato and yourself, Mr. Naruhodo? Sorry, what about us? Will you return to Japan alongside your mustached compatriot? Why would we? A week has not yet passed since we arrived in London. And only now does it feel as though we've finally found our feet. And you are accommodated in a hotel at present, are you not? Right, but we need to find lodgings before it bankrupts us. Luckily, we can fully afford another 10 nights before our entire budget is exhausted. Well then, you could take my lodgings. Oh, the windowless room? Oh, but it lacks some windows. It makes up... One that makes up the floor, ceiling, and walls. Great. And of course, I'd be happily behind the accursed evil spirit. Oh my, an evil spirit? Oh yes. It tries to suffocate you while you sleep. It's an infallible wake-up call. We'll think about it if that's alright. Perhaps I can offer a more welcome alternative. Would you consider taking lodgings with me? Really? Well, a vacancy has conveniently presented itself, though it is up in the attic, I might add. Are you sure isn't just a storage locked? I spoke with the landlady this morning on the matter of price, and Iris is cleaning the room as we speak. You must come at once. I presume you have no luggage to speak of? Oh, this is simply wonderful. What an honor to be invited to take lodgings in the great detective's office's attic. The window tax is gone, though, Blue. It's fine. But yeah, it's funny. It's hard to believe that a window tax was actually a thing that happened. I'm too overcome with words. So suggesting we look elsewhere is out then. Then it's settled. Iris will prepare welcome to... She's 10. And you must come too, Mr. Natsume. I insist. I don't know what to say, but thank you, and yes. Wonderful. Then I'll go and complete the paperwork for your formal release, Mr. Natsume. It shan't take long. Somebody's happy. Locum. Locum, I knew you wouldn't let me down. I'm truly delighted to have met you here in London. Likewise, Mr. Natsume. It has been a privilege meeting you two. It's a shame that we're gonna have to say goodbye so soon. Well, I've come to realize that I belong in Japan, but Locum, we'll meet again one day. Yes, I'm sure. And hopefully by then I'll be a successful lawyer. Hopefully by then I'll be a successful author. Well, my dear fellow, our carriage appears to have arrived. Shall we go, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, Mr. Sholmes. I've little doubt Mr. Natsume will be released in time for dinner this evening. And so, the Suzeki-san's innocence finally successfully established. We rode with Mr. Sholmes to become our new home, 221B Baker Street. Oh, this is nice. The attic room. Where's the bed? This is to be our new office, yes. Our office? Rather like the sound of that. Me too. Simply wonderful, isn't it? You can see this, Kazuma. It's only a small step. But I'd like to think we're getting a little closer to your dream now. So, my dear fellows, do you like the place? Yes! 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 Oh, it looks good. Mr. Sholmes, thank you. Yes, thank you so much. It's a delightful room, Mr. Sholmes. I simply adore it. Good, I'm pleased to hear it. Iris and I are delighted to welcome you. I hope everyone's hungry. It's nearly time for dinner. We'll eat as soon as Mr. Natsume arrives. We have a lot to celebrate. Yep, that's Sholmes. Iris, you must let me help you. Alright then, Susie. You can be in charge of the salad. Splendid. So, Mr. Naruto, how does it feel? Have your own office in the capital. Very exciting, actually. Can't help wondering what adventures await us. Those were precisely my sentiments when I first established my office at these premises. Until I discovered the dark truth about the city of London, that is. Right? London is a glorious place full of wonder, opportunity, prosperity, and mirth. With brightest of lights. Past the darkest of shadows. Shadows? What do you mean? Well, I believe you're well aware of the murkiness that lies behind London's facade already. So once again, Mr. Naruto. Welcome to London! Of course, at the time, I had no idea the significance of those words Mr. Sholmes so casually spoke. It wasn't long before my turn came to lift the facade and see the true depth of the murk that lay behind it. I cannot believe that we managed to get that done in one stream. I guarantee you the next case will take 2 streams. There's just no... If the next case is really the last one of the Adventures game, then we're gonna have quite a journey. So, you know. Anyway, enough of that stuff. Let's find somebody to raid. Yeah, 7-hour stream. I mean, it's par for the course for me these days. The Ace Attorney streams have felt short by comparison. The fact that I stream for 7 hours and it's only 2:21 a.m. is quite the specter. Quite a thing. All right. Oh yeah, I'm sure I'm gonna feel this tomorrow. My voice is killing me. Well, my throat is, rather. Well, we're gonna raid meds, probably. And I believe the raid message that we took was Van seeks dies save lives. So we're gonna raid meds. So that'll be fun. Buddha meds. And thank you all for coming out. I really appreciate it. Blue tomorrow? Yeah. Okay. So that's tomorrow. I guess I can announce it. Tomorrow night, I'll announce it in Discord tomorrow morning. That we're doing a Super Mario Sunshine race between me and Blue Coin tomorrow. That'll be fun. And then on Sunday at 8:30 Eastern, I will be doing a Kirby Superstar race. No practice, so that'll be fun because it's been I think a decade since I played Kirby Superstar. So that'll be fun. And I'll be doing that with Rosie, Fahrenheit, and Green Power Star. But otherwise, thank you everybody for coming out. You can always join the if you're not in the Discord already. If you're not in the Discord already, feel free to join. You know, we love new faces. I love talking to you guys, so I'm always happy to do more of it. And if you want disaster, that's what my Twitter is, so you can do that. In the meantime, though, I will see you all next time. So have a great rest of your night, and I love you all very much. Goodbye. Waiting for the ad to appear and disappear.
It was the night before breakfast when suddenly Austin craved eggs and bacon. In the toast.
Okay, Lil Nas X, thank you so much for that. We're just gonna wait the 30 seconds for the the thing, and then I'll raid, okay? Sorry about that. Remember that the raid message is Van Zeke's thighs save lives. So I will catch y'all on the flip. Have a great night. Goodbye, my horsies.
3000 is like, if you not see the thwomp he gets on?
He just goes so far and starts clipping out of the world.
Yes! That's my favorite part of it. Because I think like the total is supposed to be like 160. So anything beyond that is fucking exceeding expectations. Also,
Yo,
why?
Twine, what's up?